Hey everyone, my name is Lara, and this is my developing countries project for our economics class. So today the country of focus that I will be looking at is Jordan. My main inspo comes from TikTok. Honestly, we all know how it goes with the feed. Once you like a video or you view one, you get a ton of different videos related. So mainly the videos that I got were about the archaeology, including tombs, temples, and monuments, and they just incredibly caught my attention during the time that we were brainstorming for the DVC. So I just kind of leaned more towards that because of the archaeology and all the interest that I have within it. So the country of Jordan is located within the Middle East, which is west of Asia. They have a couple of big cities such as Bethlehem and Jerusalem, which are considered Holy Land. The population is approximately 11.34 million as of 2023, and they contain so many natural reserves and natural scenery, such as the Jordan River and the Dead Sea, which are very popular and the sights to see globally. The core challenges that we will be focusing on today are educational and employment issues. So, to kick us off, we'll be looking at the economic systems of Jordan. Jordan has a mixed economy. As we can see in the image provided, there's a market economy and there's a command economy. Within the country of Jordan, we do have a mixed economy, which kind of integrates both sections. So it integrates public and private sectors where businesses and industries profit off their services completely, and government provides public goods and services for the public to use with mixed ownership. So there is opportunities within both sectors that can be used for the public, and they're just mainly focused on overall benefit, but there is very much restrictions upon each kind of industry. So within business industries and public goods, there is various differences that make them. There's also price and production based on supply and demand, which is called market mechanism, which is a way that the government kind of determines how things are going to be priced and planned out, as well as government intervention and economic planning, which are kind of just plans and basically the blueprint of how developing countries are to kind of exceed and go out of their way to help fund themselves and bring themselves forward and just overall continue to develop. As I may have mentioned before, it is an unfree market, so there's restrictions among everything. So government does look over all of the different sales and the different industries that are going on. So moving forward into our core challenges, we'll begin with education. So specifically enrollment rates, we see within my research the entry level rate. So between 4 to 5, and the kindergarten age, there's 100% enrollment rate, which is incredibly great because there's a free education being provided. However, as individuals rise in age throughout middle school and high school, the enrollment rate does drop to about 75%, which is an overall decrease of 25%, with poverty being the main cause. 24.1% of Jordan's population lives under the poverty line, and that's less than half, of course. However, that is still 2.72 million lives that are living under their poverty line and cannot get a correct education. Specifically, one-fifth of Jordan's children cannot get the education that they need because of poverty. That's 3.16 million kids that are lacking in education just because of their financial demographics. However, increasing efforts are made throughout globalization and international collaboration to kind of begin to exceed, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We also have literacy rates within Jordan that are pretty concerning. As we can see on the graph to the right, Jordan's reading average score is 381 as of 2021, putting them at the fourth to last on the chart. In comparison to the US, which is a reading score of 548 as of 2021, there is a huge gap between literacy rates. However, as I mentioned, there is continuously efforts going on. So there has been a growth in Jordan by 0.53% from 2012 to 2021. As a little transition into the employment sector, I'd like to show you guys a quote from the Jordan Times, which kind of focuses on a real life example of an individual that lives in Jordan. So, working two jobs for approximately 80 hours a week is still not enough for Amar, a 25-year-old college graduate, to support his family's expenses amidst the harsh economic conditions in Jordan. In other words, even individuals that are college educated and are constantly working to better their lives still begin to struggle in Jordan. But why may that be? So I've seen a pattern within employment, which is low minimum wages. So the minimum wage in Jordan is 260 JODs, which is the Jordan currency, which essentially translates into 366 US dollars monthly. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I cannot survive off $366 monthly with rent and different expenses that go on within everyday life. Just to show you guys a little comparison in the US monthly income, it's about $4,949, which is a huge gap, probably like 3 to 4 times what the monthly income is in Jordan. So within that article in the Jordan Times, it also mentions that minimum wage in Jordan must be at least doubled for comfortable living. So we need, in order for the individuals to become more comfortable, they would need to double their income to reduce the labor and reduce the actual time that they put in to just survive. So as we can see in the chart to the right, the Jordan minimum wages have had increases since 2013 to 2021. However, they remain pretty consistent within the years. As of 2021, there has been no changes up until now. However, we obviously do need a bigger change just to kind of provide financial support to the people of Jordan. Going along with employment, we also have huge unemployment rates within the country of Jordan. As of 2023, Jordan's employment rate is 21.9%. Reflecting on the year prior, 2022, Jordan's unemployment rate was 0.9. That is a 21% increase over the span of 1 year. Most of the unemployment, not only in Jordan but globally, has been caused due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But specifically in Jordan, there has been a lack of economic expansion with a slow GDP growth rate, which is just completely not enough to increase wages. As we can see in the chart, annual employed and real GDP growth rates from 2005 to 2020, there is a consistent relationship shown between low GDP and high employment. So the lower GDP is, the higher unemployment goes, and when they rise, they're kind of a direct relationship. And it just comes to show that there should be efforts made to increase GDP in order to create more job opportunities for the people of Jordan. So as I mentioned before, we were going to get into the different effects that can help and lead Jordan out of these different struggles. So a big part of that is globalization. So globalization is essentially collaboration within the homeland as well as other foreign affairs. So as for education, we were focusing on enrollment and literacy rates, and a couple of ways that we can work with foreign countries are education sectors, student recruitment, exchange programs, and funding, which all have been shown to come from the U.S. to provide more academic opportunity to the youth of Jordan. As for employment, we focus on minimum wage and unemployment rates, investing from foreign countries, collaboration with private sectors, microfinance, which is essentially loans that are made for small businesses that are paid back in time, vocational training to kind of build adults up into different careers that they can go into, and recalculation of wages formula, which is all overall impact the wages and unemployment rate to kind of benefit the people of Jordan. And these can all be done through foreign relations and foreign allies to provide educational, academic, employment, and higher wages, just overall opportunities for all the people of Jordan. So reflecting back on the actual research, it was an incredible time. Honestly, starting off with, the TikTok and just being able to choose the location that I want because it sparked my interest was incredible. One thing that I do want to reflect on is the country of Jordan, just like many other developing countries, face barriers such as education and employment barriers, but they are constantly striving to overcome these barriers. So as we can see, there was the efforts with foreign relations as well as national things that are going on to kind of provide youth with more education and more opportunities, as well as for our adults that are already past that age, that so that they can gain careers and actually fund themselves daily. So personally, I think the theoretical concepts are everywhere after doing this research project. So an example for me would be the variations of elasticity within education. Basically, finances play a huge role in supply and demand for good quality education. So if there is more poverty than there is financial stability, then there will be less of a demand for good quality education. But if we had a solution within finances, we'd have more of a supply for good quality education. So I think education and employment go hand in hand, along with the theoretical concepts that just play a huge role. So I just feel like theoretical concepts are truly everywhere. We just see them throughout lives, but this throughout our lives, but this research actually kind of opened it up for me a little bit more, if that makes any sense. So I also got to develop new research skills through the personal reflection. I kind of learned how to get more reliable sources and more relevant sources. I went out of my way more to use the Porterville College resources such as JSTOR and other databases to kind of help me develop my research. It's also fascinating to see the efforts and collaborations that these developing countries are making to better themselves. I mean, as an individual, you can only do so much, but the fact that these countries are working together with the government and with the private sectors and with the population and even within foreign affairs, it's incredible to see the changes that they can possibly make. Alrighty, everyone. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys have any questions or comments for me, feel free to leave them in the discussion. I'm so appreciative that you guys got to listen to me and just kind of share my experience with you guys. So I also have my works cited here. If you guys are wondering where I got all of my information, these are all here to be accessed. I will also attach my final paper to the discussion in case you guys have any specifics that you guys would like to see. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.